On the major report tonight, National Assembly frets over worsening insecurity once security stepped up. UK court adjourned Ekeremadu's case till October. Osun APC leaders passed votes of confidence on Governor Oyetola. UN Secretary General berates countries that profit from global oil crisis. Good evening, welcome to the major report. Babatunde Bolatito is my name. The National Assembly has expressed fears over the worsening insecurity in the country, particularly the recent attack on the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, by terrorists. Sequel to the worsening insecurity, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, summoned the security chiefs to a marathon meeting where he described the situation as the most frightening. Also, at the meeting, the senators advised the security chiefs on how better to protect the FCT and the country in general. The House added that the terrorists were daring to have attacked the seat of power, wanting the security agency to go after the militants. It was learned that the various House of Representatives Committee on Security recently met with security chiefs over the development in the country. Meanwhile, before the Senate meeting with the security chiefs, the Inspector General of Police held a conference with the State Commissioners of Police and other senior officers to review the security in the country. Senator Lawan therefore admonished the law enforcement agencies to perform their duties better and protect the rural populace. The federal government has justified the approval of the sum of 1.145 billion naira for the purchase of vehicles for the Nigerian Republic. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, said Nigerians have the right to question President Muhammadu Buhari on the approval of the sum for the purchase of vehicles, adding that the President also has the prerogative to make his own assessment on situation and act in the interest of the country. According to report, the contract to supply the 10 units of Toyota Land Cruisers were awarded to Ifo Kaura Motors Nigeria Limited. However, Mrs. Ahmed explained that Nigeria has a policy of assisting its neighbors to strengthen capacity to deal with insecurity, as it has to support its neighbors, especially to enhance their capacity to secure their countries as it relates to Nigeria, having assisted Cameroon, Chad, among others. Meanwhile, the commander of Operation Safe Haven maintaining peace in Plateau and environs, Major General Ibrahim Ali, says the military will remain neutral and fair to all in securing the nation. Major General Ali, who is also the general officer commanding 3 divisions of the Nigerian Army, JOS, made it known when he received a delegation from the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue in JOS. He said they adopted non-kinetic strategies towards eradicating violence tendencies that could lead to chaos in the society. Major General Ali maintained that the operation has zero tolerance for human rights violation, and its target is to create a more secure environment for the actualization of steady growth and development. It was gathered that the Operation Safe Haven comprises of Nigerian Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and Department of State Security and police components consisting of mobile force and the Special Investigating Bureau to combat security threats throughout the country. Lagos State Environmental and Special Offences Unit has impounded more than 322 commercial motorcycles in the state for allegedly contravening traffic laws. The agency spokesman, Mr. Badenyo Abdulrahim, who confirmed the seizure in a statement in Lagos today, said the operation was carried out in a week-long raid. Mr. Abdulkarim explained that the motorcycles were seized while plying the Lagos major highways across the state, 6 local government areas, and 9 local government council development areas, where commercial motorcycles had been prohibited. He added that 250 motorcycles earlier seized by the task force had been crushed by the state government. While describing the motorcycles as rebellious, he maintained that the motorcycles will continue to be confiscated and crushed by the state government. The agency spokesman enjoined motorcycle operators to embrace alternative means of transportation, which he said was safer, more presentable, and in line with the state government vision of having a top metropolitan city in the world. A court in the United Kingdom has adjourned the case of former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu till October 31. According to reports, Senator Ekweremadu will be remanded in custody until the next adjourned date. Ekweremadu, who is the lawmaker representing Enugu West Senatorial District, and his wife Beatrice are facing allegation of organ harvesting. His wife was granted bail last week. He's also accused of conspiring with the lawmaker to arrange to facilitate the man with a view of being is accused of conspiring with the lawmaker to arrange or facilitate the travel of the man with a view to exploiting him through organ harvesting. The leaders of the All Progressive Congress APC in Osun State have reaffirmed their support for Governor Aregbesola and the state party chairman, Prince Gboyega Famodun. The leaders who made the reaffirmation during a press conference held at the party secretariat described the call by the Osun Progressive members for the restructuring of the party as unacceptable to them, adding that they have strong confidence in the leadership of the party under Governor Aregbesola and Prince Famodun. Oluchi Amada has detailed.
The press conference organized by the All Progressive Congress APC in Osun State had in attendance leadership of the party from the units, ward level, state chairman of the party, local government chairman, senatorial leaders, women leaders, members of the State House of Assembly, among others. In his address, the state chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Prince Gboyega Famodun, who spoke on the recent protest by the Osun Progressives, STOP, a group within the ruling party, alleged that the group's activities are being funded by the Minister of Interior and former governor of the state, Governor Rauf Aregbesola, and have continued to be a clog in the wheel of progress of the APC and Governor Aregbesola administration.
Surprisingly, Aregbesola and supporters actually acted to tap by openly campaigning and subsequently voting against Governor Aregbesola in the election, which was part of the reason of the current plight of our party in the state. It was on record that the Interior Minister never took part in any of the governorship campaign, while he is also getting out of the country during the election in order not to take part in such an important election in the state, where he is the highest beneficiary by way of appointment as a minister.
He described the call by the top members for the restructuring of the party through the dissolution of the party executives from the units to the state level as primitive, misplaced, and inconsiderate, especially when the call is coming from those he alleged to have worked against the party during the recently conducted Osun State governorship election. Prince Famodun maintained that the top members lacked the moral competence to call for the restructuring of the party.
Assuming without considering that there are challenges within the party, the protesters and their patron should know that they lack moral right to either suggest or effect and likely solution for the structuring of our party, as it is on record that they massively and collectively worked against Governor Aregbesola, the APC governorship candidate who just concluded election in line with the series of their threats.
The event climaxed with the endorsement of the leadership of Governor Aregbesola and the state APC chairman, Prince Gboyega Famodun, by the leaders of the All Progressive Congress from the units to the state level. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
Nursing mothers have been admonished to always ensure proper breastfeeding of their children so as to keep them healthy and fit. Osun State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Rauf Aregbesola, noted that the benefits of proper breastfeeding are enormous, gave the charge at a day's symposium organized by the Osun State Primary Care Board to commemorate the 2022 World Breastfeeding Day. Oluwatobiloba has more.
The World Breastfeeding Week, which is celebrated every year across the world between the 1st of August and 7th of August, was set aside since 1991 as a campaign, which aim is to raise awareness about breastfeeding and its advantages. This year's World Breastfeeding Week 2022 focused on strengthening the capacity of actors that have to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding across the world. To this end, the Osun State Primary Health Care Board organized a day symposium to commemorate the 2022 World Breastfeeding Week with the theme Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support, which seeks to involve government, communities, and individuals achieving the global target 2025 to improve maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. Speaking at the event, State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Rauf Aregbesola, enjoined nursing mothers who always breastfeed their babies exclusively for the first 6 months, after which they can start giving their babies other solid foods. He noted that it is important for nursing mothers to always breastfeed their babies, as there are lots of benefits in breastfeeding the child.
And of course, we want our mothers to breastfeed newborn babies exclusively for at least for the initial period of 6 months, after which they can introduce solid foods and all that. So it is incumbent on our mothers to take care of their children.
Presenting a paper on the theme of the 2022 World Breastfeeding Week, tagged Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support, the State Nutrition Officer of the State Primary Health Care Board, Mrs. Rashidat Kupola, noted that there are lots of benefits in child breastfeeding, adding that proper breastfeeding encourages bond between the mother and the child. It prevents child malnutrition and also prevents nursing mothers from breast cancer and ovarian cancer, among others. She noted that the 2022 World Breastfeeding Week theme is focused on promoting the importance of breastfeeding, as well as to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding across the world.
The breast milk is a natural milk, and it contains all the nutrients that the baby needs for proper growth and proper brain development.
In their separate remarks, the chairman of the State Primary Health Care Board, Honorable Leke Ogunshola, including the senior special assistant to the governor on health, Mr. Benga Oyebode, Director of Public Health, Dr. Akim Bello, among others, enjoined nursing mothers to always adhere to the procedures of proper breastfeeding, as there are lots of benefits attached to child breastfeeding. Also, in their remarks, the Osun State Coordinator for World Health Organization, Ahmed Bello, including State Representative for UNICEF, Mr. Solomon Israel, among others, reiterated their commitment towards achieving a global target 2025, which is to improve maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. In her closing remarks, the Executive Secretary, State Primary Health Care Board, Dr. Bukola Olujide, appreciated the effort of the state government under the leadership of Governor Aregbesola and other stakeholders for their unflinching support at all times. The event climaxed with the drama display of proper breastfeeding, among others. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga, reporting for OSBC News.
The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries has raised Nigeria's crude oil production quota for September this year to 1.8 million barrels per day, as Brent, the global oil benchmark for crude, dropped in price the same day. According to the data obtained from OPEC, the 13-member organization increased Nigeria's oil production quota marginally from 1.826 million barrels per day in August 10 to 1.83 meters barrel per day in September. This came as industry figures in Abuja indicated the drop in the cost of crude oil, as Brent fell by 2.36%, shedding $2.37 to close at $98.17 per barrel. Reportedly, oil prices have stayed above $100 per barrel for months due to several industry concerns, such as war in Ukraine by Russia. However, Nigeria has not benefited much from the price increase because of its persistent inability to meet the monthly oil production quota approved by OPEC. Nigerians have been admonished to brace up for the negative consequences arising from the climate change being experienced not only in the country but all over the world. Experts who spoke in separate interviews with OSBC News on the development outlined the safety precautions that need to be taken to mitigate the effect of climate change. Ayobami Akomolafe now reports.
Climate change, no doubt, is a global phenomenon, and it is evident that Nigeria has been witnessing its effects, judging by the increase in temperature, rainfall, and flooding as recorded in some parts of the country. As the climate continues to change, forecasters have reviewed expected developments as regards the weather, including a long season of cold, which have caused experts to advise Nigerians to take precautions and put in place preventive measures. Speaking with OSBC, a health officer, Mrs. Adegeyi Uluyombo, of Osun State Primary Health Care Board, advised citizens of the state to keep themselves warm at all times, as the cold weather condition might not stop soon. She revealed that the chest cold conditions get rampant in periods like this, and advised that citizens, most especially children and the aged, to eat warm food and drink warm water this time around.
This cold weather is keep themselves warm. Wearing of cardigan during this cold weather, then drinking of warm water. There's closing of air, windows and doors every time now.
These environmental predictions are not limited to humans alone, as farm produce could be affected as well. An agriculturist, Dr. David Ogunshade, in an interview with OSBC, explained that farmers are major victims of climate change, as he makes reference to 2021 weather conditions which affected farming and caused a low turnout in farm produce. He expressed his displeasure at the lack of adequate equipment farmers are facing to avert such situations.
We are having problems with the tree crops. The tree crops are not, doing very well this year because of last year there was no harmattan. Harmattan is very, very important for tree crops, cola, mangoes, and big cocoa. So with this year we are going to have very, very little production of it. So those are the aspects of
Nigeria Football Federation has revealed that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on Cristiano Ronaldo-led Portugal in an international friendly match in September. This was contained in a release.
Those are the aspects of
He, however, called on the government to
appeal to the government to provide irrigation for both, especially in the southern part of the country, because in the north we have.
The experts also spoke on the need for individuals to do away with harmful.
Now welcome to our sports segment. The Super Eagles of Nigeria will face 2016 European champions in Portugal in an international friendly scheduled to hold in September following the postponement of the African doubleheader qualifier against Guinea-Bissau. Omotayo Adebodu now completes this and other stories from the world of sports.
Nigeria Football Federation has revealed that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on Cristiano Ronaldo-led Portugal in an international friendly match in September. This was contained in a release by the Nigeria Football Federation Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi. The three-time African champion were initially scheduled to play Guinea-Bissau in a double-header African Cup of Nations qualifiers in the FIFA international break. But with the qualifiers postponed until March 2023 by the Confederation of African Football last month, the NFF are busy arranging a Grade A friendlies for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. According to Sanusi, discussion with the Portuguese FA for the friendly game between Nigeria and Portugal is in top gear. It will be the first time Nigeria and Portugal will meet at the senior level, even though both countries played against each other 3 times at the Under-20 World Cup, with Portugal winning all 3 meetings, twice in 1989 and 2013. In the meantime, Chelsea have signed Aston Villa 18-year-old Kanu Chukwuemeka on a 6-year contract for a fee in the region of £20 million. The midfielder made 12 Premier League appearances last season, but only started twice, and it is understood he is keen to get more top-flight game time. Chukwuemeka, who was part of the England Under-19 squad that lifted the European Championship title this summer, had no interest in discussing a new contract with the club he has been with since he was age 12. Barcelona had shown interest while Borussia Dortmund inquired about signing him, and Chukwuemeka was keen to Dortmund about the possibility, having seen the opportunities given to other young England exports such as Jordan Sancho and Jude Bellingham. Or Motayo Adebodun, OSBC News.
Foreign news. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on oil and gas companies to face special taxes, adding that it was immoral for firms to be profiting from the crisis. Aregbesola Ilori has details of this and more from around the world.
Nation Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for oil and gas companies to face special taxes. Mr. Guterres' comments came as surging energy prices sparked by the war in Ukraine pushed industry profits to new high, adding that it was immoral for firms to be profiting from the crisis. He further stated that the grotesque greed is punishing and destroying the poorest and most vulnerable people. It will be recalled that the United Kingdom had last month approved a 25% windfall tax on energy firms, a one-off levy the government says will raise some £25 billion to help offset households' energy bills, as other countries such as Italy have imposed similar measures. However, French lawmakers rejected the move, while there is a little political momentum in the US, despite a windfall tax proposal from some members of Congress. Meanwhile, Mr. Guterres urged all governments to tax the excessive profits and use the funds to support the most vulnerable people through the difficult times. Meanwhile, China's largest military exercises encircling Taiwan kicked off today in a show of force straddling vital international shipping lanes after a visit to the island by the Speaker of the United States, Mrs. Nancy Pelosi. Reports say Ms. Pelosi left Taiwan after a trip that defied a series of stark threats from Beijing, which views the self-ruled island as its territory. It was learned that Ms. Pelosi was the highest profile elected U.S. official to visit Taiwan in 25 years, and her trip made it clear that the United States would not abandon a democratic ally. Her trip, however, sparked a furious reaction from Beijing, which vowed punishment and announced military drills in the seas around Taiwan. 6 major areas around the island have been selected for the actual combat exercise, but relevant ships and aircrafts are not allowed to enter the relevant waters and airspaces. The exercises are taking place in multiple zones around Taiwan, at some point within just 20 kilometers of the shore, as it will conclude at midday on Sunday. Meanwhile, Taiwan's defense ministry said it was closely watching the drills, stressing to uphold the principle of preparing for war without seeking war, and with an attitude of not escalating conflicts and causing disputes. The Taiwanese cabinet also said the drills would disrupt 18 international routes passing through its flight information region. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate has ratified Finland and Sweden's accession to NATO, the most significant expansion of the 30-member alliance since the 90s, amid Russia's invasions of Ukraine. The Senate voted 95-1 in favor of the 2 Nordic countries' accession, making the United States the 23rd of the 30 NATO countries to formally endorse it so far, after Italy approved it earlier in the day and France. President Joe Biden said the historic vote sends an important signal of the sustained bipartisan U.S. commitment to NATO and to ensuring the alliance is prepared to meet the challenges ahead, as it hailed the Senate's quick ratification process, which is the fastest since 1981. Senators from both parties strongly endorsed membership for the 2 countries, describing them as important allies whose modern militaries already worked closely with NATO. The sole opponent was Republican Josh Hawley, who agreed that the U.S. should focus on protecting its homeland, but said that Washington should concentrate on the challenge from China rather than Europe. Senate Leader Chuck Schumer said it was a signal of Western unity after Moscow launched a war on Ukraine on February 24. All 30 members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization must agree if Finland and Sweden, officially non-aligned but long-time adjoint partners of the alliance, are admitted. Aregbesola Ilori reporting for OSBC News.
That ends the major report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo Babatunde Bolatito. It's my name, saying thank you for watching. Good night.
pẹ̀lú ọpẹ́ sí Ọlọ́run àwa ìdílé bàbá wa olóògbé pa Ọládèjì ọ̀rẹ́ Lucy tìlú Ìkejì Arákejì Ìjẹ̀ṣà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun fi tẹ̀tẹ̀dùn kéde òkú màmá wa àti màmá wa díákónì obìnrin Dorcas Mágbàgbéọlá ọ̀rẹ́ Lucy tìlú Ìkejì